for the blueprint. Looking for the blueprint. The success blueprint. The success blueprint. Yeah, we building right. Jaime and Mike will have you step into the next level. Timeless game every day of the week. Could tell you how to level up your spirit and be success driven and mind strong. Get your finances right, get your grind on. You know there's power in the stories. Tune in, this the valor of the true man. The success blueprint. The success blueprint. The success blueprint. You looking for the blueprint.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Success Blueprint. I'm Mike Whitaker, the man of valor. We have Jaime, financial enabler here. And today we're stepping into partnership and spousal relationship. So if you've been following along, we're in the Prosperous 8 series. This is episode 5. And we're diving in, right? So, man, Jaime, man, it's always a privilege to be able to talk to you, brother. Good to see you. Man, you're looking good.
Same.
By the way. All right, cool. Let's dive in, man. So I got a question for you, right? I have a question for you just to start this thing out. What can you call success? Like, can you make your marriage, is your marriage a success if your relationship with your wife is strained?
That's a crazy question. No, you can't. And I'm just going to answer. Obviously, that was it's interesting because it was a deeper question.
Mm-hmm.
And no, you can't. And it's humorous because people are okay with their strained relationships. That is crazy, dude.
Yes, it's insane. Wow. It's insane. So I had to dive into that little piece to start, right? And yeah. I agree with you. Because, dude, if you're gonna be married, why be in a strained relationship? And a lot of times it's just two pig-headed people, not wanting to compromise, not wanting to let go and give each other the advantage, right, to make it better because they got a point of view that they want to get across. A lot of times it's because of something so simple. You know what I mean? Like holding on to one thing that means nothing. Yeah. Anyway, we kind of dove in kind of fast. So, but yeah, let's get to it. So I love this, man. It's probably one of my favorite topics because I think I have a great relationship, right? I actually love being married. It's something that I've wanted my entire life, right? I saw it from my parents. Dude, it's a beautiful thing. I think marriage is awesome. Especially when you got two people that want it and are willing to work at it and grow through that thing. So really impactful. What are your thoughts on relationships, marriages, and go from there?
So I'm twice divorced, right? Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, I'm not known for the successes, but after my second divorce, I realized why is it that marriage is the one thing that you're most successful if you do it the least, right? So, which again, it proves how hard it is. It is the one thing you're really good at it if you do it once. But again, what I've realized, and you've taught me this, is that, and I've come to accept it now, is that it's because we stop remarrying our girl, right? Because we do change, right? Eventually, and now thinking about it, is almost like we almost need to get married to this person every 5-10 years. Or after a big event, an event that happens. It could be a good thing, like a childbirth. It's like, oh, you're totally different. I was like, okay, I still want to be in this relationship. I should commit to fall in love with this person again, And my, while when it comes to relationships, I now am very proud to be in a good, strong relationship. And I am blessed to say that it's only in contrast to my lessons learned. Right. And you and I have spoken a lot about that. And I'm very, very blessed to bring the good things and to even be with a girl that I can say, I know that I couldn't be where I'm at if I would have stayed with them. And now it fills me with joy to know that I am with the right person now, Yeah. And now it's like, I will say now I realize that to be successful in a relationship, I've always known that it takes 100%. But it really takes a day in, day out work into the little things, Obviously, we shouldn't be cheating on our partners, but it's like, are you loving them every day? Are you going out of your way to they did laundry today. You know what? I'm going to do laundry today since I have 10 minutes. It's like, I'll do my part, I think that there's a lot that comes into building the success in a relationship. So,
yeah, No, that's good. That's good, man. And I've been there too, right? It's not my first marriage, right? So we both had to go through it, but I'll tell you, the first one shaped me, right? I learned so much from it. And I think that's the mistake that people make a lot of times is even if you get it wrong once, twice, hopefully not 3 times, right? That means you're really not learning. Even if you get it wrong, you can learn from all those things to have a better relationship the next time, right? And just stick to that thing and figure out the things that you want, figure out who you are, heal from some stuff before you just jump from relationship to relationship. So it's really good.
Yeah. And I would say that with relationships, redefining what success is has been a big part of it.
Absolutely.
It's that when is the relationship successful? Because now I've come to realize that oftentimes to be successful in the relationship may mean that the individual must not be successful in something. Right. And you and I have seen this, that we are lucky when we find the career or business, relationship, hobbies that are aligned to be successful. But I know for a fact that if like there's a lot of hobbies that if you and I picked up on right now, just hobbies, I'm not saying bad habits, they would not be in line with our relationship, that would cause a strain in the relationship. Just to use hobbies as an example. Or
Yeah.
or careers. Like if you and I try to go back to the military right now, I don't think we would put our relationships in a successful place,
Yeah. Absolutely. That makes a big difference too, because now it's not just about us. Right. And there's a way to have data alignment with career, with spouse, with everything else, right? Where you can still get to that next level and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, which is powerful. So being able to do that, it is everything. You know what I mean? For me, and I had to learn how to define, what it looks like to be married to Candace, because what I saw from my parents won't necessarily work here. The principle behind it, right? Some of the things that they did would work, but Candace has a different upbringing, right? She didn't come from the same type of background and some of that. So we had to figure out some stuff together, that process of becoming one to becoming one, where we had to just dive into, okay, here's what I like. Here's what I think our relationship's supposed to be like. She says the same thing. And the things that are non-negotiable, we get rid of or we keep. And the things that we can work out, that we can't work out, we get rid of, that don't make sense for us, right? So we had to define that to feel like, and it took some time, right? To set up and be like, man, we made some mistakes. And we're like, man, we thought we wanted to do this. That don't really work for us. Let's go another way. And then to realize that there's seasons of our life where it's going to look different in our relationship. So that's what success is all about. Like you said, we're relearning each other all the time, right? And I think last time we used, I've used this example before, is our being with our partner is kind of like our taste buds. What is it, like every 7 years or something, our taste buds change just a little bit? Because there's certain things that I eat now that I didn't eat when I was younger, right? And so with my wife, I don't know what part of when I came into her change. We met, and 2 years later she could have changed, and I just changed right before I met. So I'm 7 years before I changed, right?
Yeah.
All of that stuff matters. And if you constantly learn and going through that process and trying to get to know your spouse and dating them, like you mentioned, right? I say this all the time. My favorite thing is Monday through Thursday, she's my wife. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's my girlfriend. I literally want to date my wife. I want to get to know her. I want to chase her. I want to make her feel wanted and not just needed, right? I want her in my life. I need her in my life, but I want her to know that I really want her. And we want to make this thing fun and have a good time at the same time, which is always important, right? So let me ask you this. Who pays when ambition it gets ahead of our unity? Who suffers?
I think the default answer would be the spouse, right? That is the default answer. But I think that looking at it now, it's more of us. Because then we're saying, I'm going to pursue my ambitions. You and I have spoken about this. There's nothing wrong with pursuing a career or something better, but we have to be honest with ourselves. Is this for me or for the relationship? And if it's not for the relationship, can you convince your partner to agree so that it is for the relationship, right? Which is a whole different thing. But I think that if we just pursue of our ambitions, we are going to suffer because we're going to keep ourselves in something that we are not committed in. It's like, I mean, I know people do it, but why would you buy a car that you're not going to drive?
Wow.
It's like, I got this car. I love this car. I'm not going to drive it. And I'm just going to keep it stored. That is not a relationship, right? I mean, it may be a car would, but in a relationship, it doesn't if we're pursuing it. So I definitely believe that obviously both suffer, but I think that we need to be on that the person seeking the ambition will suffer, right? They will suffer. I think that to me is very important to address. And which I wanted to ask you, would you just kind of back up for a second? What is something that you saw change in you or in Candace that you're glad you caught it, that it was that, let's say, old Mike would not have been okay with, then now you're like, this is a better version of me because I am okay with it. Like the necessary
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. One of them was, and more recently was seeing how she worked, right? And that it caused her a lot of anxiety having a job, right? In the past 3 years, 4 years. And I'm like, man, what's up? She's always tired, down, everything's a problem, right? Like all of those things that are coming up. And I'm like, okay, I gotta really take a look at what's happening because she's always said, I'm a career woman. I want to work. Right. And I have no issue with that. Cool. That's what you want to do. Go for it. I support. Climb the ladder. Do what you want to do. Start the business. Whatever. Right. I'm with that. However, in the most recent years, you could see it like pulling on her in a way where she couldn't be 100% herself. She couldn't give it all because she's so stressed out for work and all these other things. So I had to be like, okay, I don't ever want my lady having to work or being distressed and not loving what she do. So I'm going to find a way to make sure that I retire her and get her out of it. And that made me better because I was able to step back and say, man, this attitude or the things she's going through, the stress isn't me per se, isn't the all of the things that she says she loves to do. It's the thing that is holding her back and holding her down. So seeing that, that's in the most recent years, that right there. So that's what allows us to, we don't want our ladies working for anybody, right? Do what you
No
do. You
way.
got the freedom to do what you do. So we love
No
that,
way.
right? Because she served in the military. So it's not like, she stay-at-home mom forever. She did 21 years in the Army and had a very successful career. And is a career-driven woman, so I love that about her. However, when that shift came and she's like, I don't want to do this anymore, I needed to make that adjustment. Some stuff early in our relationship was our communication styles and the way that we both approach the same problem. I'm more calm. You know what I'm saying? Like just chill with it and want to figure it out. Let's have a conversation. Her family grew up with a bunch of emotions and if I'm telling you this and they got to talk loud and get after it. So I had to realize, well, this is just her way of expressing. Let me not take it personal that she's super emotional and big and all of those things. Let me not take it personal. Let me step back and say, give you leeway to be able to communicate the way that you know how. I hear the heart of it and not the way that she's saying it so we can move forward, which allowed us to learn how to communicate better. One, I got a little more passion because she's used to that. So I can share my stuff with a little more passion and not feel like I'm stale or downplaying everything. And then she got to calm down a little more and share her passion, but use it in a way that's positive. So that's what helped us in our relationship. So those are some of the things that I noticed.
Right. And that's incredible. And seeing Candace now as you were explaining the passion, the energy, I can see how that's especially if it's different, right? You're like it's an adjustment, right? And I mean, this is not a Candace thing. We all have our adjustments. By the way, if anybody's listening to
Sure.
this, I'm sure you were talking to Candace and Tanya, they would be saying similar things about us. We're far from
Absolutely.
we're not exempt from this stuff. And I'll say for me, a big one was I had to get used to that country. Tanya was a country girl and she wore boots. And I was like, that's what she's not my thing. I always make the joke, Tanya's not my thing, right? Because that's the first thing that I said about her. But in reality, I realized that's not my thing, but I love that woman. If she wants to wear boots, whatever, right? It's not my thing. And she knows she puts on boots. It's rare that I'll say that looks great, right? But it's just because it's not my thing. But I love her. I love who she is. I think she's beautiful. I admire her. And she knows that those are just not the things that I favored for, right? Or when she wants me to cut my hair like Morgan Wallen, and I'm like, I don't want that. It's not my thing,
It looked good on you, by the way.
Dude, that's what everybody says. I just don't like it. I
I'm
don't know.
telling you, it looked good on you. I was like, man, I like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there we go. Anyway.
Yeah. And with in your maybe not your relationship. So is marriage a better question? Do you believe that decisions should be made together and explained later? Or is it just something that we have to go into in-depth explanation with our partners? How do you frame this for a successful relationship?
Yeah, great question. First, foremost, every situation is different. So I don't think there's a principle that one size fits all here. I think it depends on the situation. I think it depends on the severity. I think it depends on the timing. I think all of that stuff plays a factor in how you make that decision and how you move forward. Right. But let's just say we got all the time in the world to make the decision. And we have a conversation to do it. There's no need or there's life threatening. None of that's there. Let's just say none of that's there, and we make a decision. So for me, in our household, we're biblical. So we say man's the head, right? And go from there. Not to me, that doesn't mean that I'm the only one that makes decisions. It means I get the final say. And even if I choose to do it her way, I'm accountable for the decision that's made. I don't blame her at all. It's all me, whether it's good or bad, especially the bad decisions are on me, right? So we take that. Right? Now, she does take some ownership because she's a mature woman. She's going to say, nah, I made that decision. That's what I mean. I'm like, nope. In the end, I'm ultimately held accountable. However, there's situations where we don't agree on what to do. And for her, she defaults to me. The beautiful part is she knows that I'm not making a decision in a bubble. So I have people, you for one, my parents, our mentors. I got men and women in my life that I go to for wise counsel before I make any life-changing decision, anything that can affect my family, myself, our business, any of that. Okay. So there's been plenty of times where I'll tell Candace, hey, I think I want to do this. And she's like, I don't agree. And I'm like, okay, cool. Tell me why. And she'll tell me. And I say, all right. Then I go to my mentors. I go to some other people. And I'm like, hey, this is what I want them to do. Like, yep, you should do that. And I come home and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this anyway. And she's like, okay, I support it. Or I just don't agree. And then later on, if it went bad, she's like, and I'm like, yep, that was bad. It was on me. Or if it went well, she's like, man, great job. I'm glad you know what I mean? Like we have that. So the decision ultimately in our household, I'm held accountable for it. It's just not all on me. A wise man seeks wise counsel, right? I seek wise counsel. My first line of wise counsel is my wife. And I am smart enough to defer to her judgment and her skill set and her discernment in things that I don't have it on. So when I wanted to invest in real estate years ago so bad, right? I had opportunity to, own 40, 50 doors. And I'm like, man, I want to do this. I can do the work and get after it. And in the season, she's like, babe, I support that, but it's not the time. And I'm like, are you sure? Like it can bring in money. She's like, honestly, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I want that too, but it's not time for us. And I said, okay, cool. Let me listen to her. So I took her advice and I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to do this. And on every last one of my guys, every last one of the men in my life are like, what's your wife think? I said, man, she said it's not time. I'm like, why did she say that? She said, oh, well, because we got this, this, and this. We got this going on. And they're like, honestly, she's not wrong. And I'm like, I know she isn't, but I'm looking for something else. And I always had men in my life and people in my life that are not yes men. They don't just want to appease me, right? So it makes it really simple for us to make decisions that way. Now, there's been some other times, I know I'm going a little long, other times where Candace wants to do something and I'm like, yeah, I don't really know. She's like, I think we should really do it. And I'm like, okay, great, go with it. Boom, it works out well. There's been other times where she's like, I want to do this and we should go this route. And it doesn't work. So we both had the same thing where we're at it. Ultimately, though, I never make a decision, even though I got the power to say, no, we're going to do this and go. And I don't have it. I was not in me because I have a wonderful wife whose word I trust, whose discernment I trust. And then I got people in my life to go that route. So that's how we do it. What are your thoughts?
No, and I just wanted to highlight something that I'm catching is that in Think and Grow Rich, they talk about the mastermind idea. And in every person that we know that is wildly successful, they always mention the strength of the relationship. But it really shows that when we pick the wrong person, right? Because let's say Candace she was never a stay-at-home mom, right? Or maybe there were stages that she was. I'm making some inferences, her having been military. But her level of skill set is way beyond just stay-at-home mom. And it complements you very well. But it really shows the edge, and you and I spoke about this last week, the edge that we have having women that are, I believe Tanya is going to be a role model mother. Candace was a role model mother, but they have so much more to them. We can come to them with financial questions. We can come to them with people questions, and they have wisdom and they see the world totally different than we do. What I'm getting at is that unfortunately, we meet a lot of young people, it's mostly young people. You see old people stuck in it too, that the partner is not the strongest position they could have put themselves in. And clearly that now the relationship is strained, therefore not a good marriage. Because if one is carrying all the load, then it's impossible, right? And it really shows the importance of picking a partner right, or being patient that God is going to send you the right partner with us not being in a hurry,
Exactly. And part of that too is, don't get it wrong. Don't get us wrong. We're not saying we've arrived, our wives have arrived, our ladies, none of that, right? What we're saying is that our I don't care where you come into this thing. You could be a stay-at-home mom and still have a lot of wisdom, a lot of discernment. Are you willing to grow from where you are to get to the next level in your life, right? If you're willing to do that, your husband can trust you. Your wife can trust you and be willing to make decisions and be willing to default to other things. You asked about decisions. It makes me think a friend of ours says this all the time. He's like, if the thing you want to do can't withstand the questions of your spouse or someone else without you getting frustrated, you probably shouldn't do it, right? Like, it just means there's holes there and you're mad that somebody's questioning you because it's something you really want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
you're going to do something. You're like, I hope they don't find out. Then you're already in the wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong. And it's okay. Own that and say, you're right in this moment. Let me step back, really do some analysis. If we go biblically, it says count the cost of anything I'm doing anyway. Is it going to hurt my family? We've had plenty of things. We talked about it. $1,000 in debt in 3 months off of trying to do a business that was a good idea, but not a God idea. And our relationship was strained because when I asked her, she was like, all right, if that's what you want to do. She didn't tell me the whole thing. And I'm like, babe, I've always listened to you. Right? If you're not comfortable, I don't do it. She's like, I felt like I was stifling your dream. I'm like, no, not at all. Right? Please, that's why. So we had to work on that piece of communication and say, I never feel that way. I think you want to support me in all things. So if you have a negative piece about it and don't think we should do it, let's talk about it and get through it. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, for
Really
sure.
good. Really good.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
Go
this.
ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
No, you go. I've asked you a few times.
Okay, cool. Let's go faith-based just a little bit, okay? So what does leadership actually look like inside of a marriage relationship type deal? What does that look like?
What does leadership look like? Well, I think that if we're going faith-based, right, which again is the key, it has to be, obviously the identity should be in Christ, right? So do as he would do, just to oversimplify. But then what actions are we talking about? Well, a leader must seek counsel, right? We'll look at another great leader. Moses had Aaron, right? I'm willing to bet that Moses either went to God or went to Aaron, and it was one of those two, right? And that was, I'm sure there was others, but those were the key. So go as a leader, rely on your partner, rely on their wisdom, be willing to make mistakes, be willing to own the mistakes. And then another thing of leadership is constant growth. Right? When you see a partner that wants to stay, irrelevant of where it is, you could be at $1 million. You could be at, like, our kids are in Harvard. Doesn't matter where you are. The moment a partner wants to stay is probably not good, especially if the other one is seeking growth, right? And we see that a lot. Like, people hit a threshold that they want to stay, right? You got to continue to seek growth, right? You can live where you are, but you got to continue to grow. And I think that not enough people are willing to grow when things get good. They only want to grow when things are bad, but when things are good, they got to continue to great. And I don't think enough people do that. So I would say those are a few things that come to mind on leadership.
In the marriage. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Since we're faith-based, right? Since we're talking to faith-wise, and it doesn't have to be, again, doesn't matter what your faith is. Jaime and I are Bible guys. We're Jesus people. So apply this to your faith, however you do. What role does faith play in marriage?
Just faith or faith in God?
Faith in God.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll say faith in God. I would say, I just read something about this morning. So if we have faith, we do the right things, right? Because we believe in God, we trust in God. And I think having faith in God means that one analogy that I'm using with a lot of people is our willingness to give God the things that we cannot carry, right? God can give us things that we can carry, right? But I generally believe that God is like, here, carry this big boulder. I know you're ready. But he's not ready. I don't think he's saying you're ready in strength. I think we're ready in maturity to know what we can let go to him, to defer, right? So we must have faith in, and I wish I remember the quote. I read it in Hebrews 11 today, and the verse. But if we have the faith, we could trust in God, and we will do the right things to honor him. And I think in Hebrews 11, it basically says the short version of, obviously don't get saved by works, but because you're saved, you do works because you'll continue to honor God. And I think that comes into the relationship. If I'm Christ-like and my girl's Christ-like, I should treat her how Jesus would treat her. And therefore I should also treat her as if she was Jesus, right? Because she is Christ-like. So I got to honor her the same way. right? That is not, servitude doesn't go to the person, servitude goes to Jesus. And I think that's where the faith comes into me. And I wish I was more in tune with the verse that I saw today, because it would have been really good. I'm gonna look it up what you talk.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And I think you're right on point with that. I love faith when it comes to relationships. It's like when you have God at the center of it and you both are submitted to Him, it makes it way better. So now when we can't agree, we go to, like, so for Candace and I, when we don't agree, because welcome to marriage, we don't agree, right? Right, on all things, we go our center point, and that what we always go back to is what the Word says, and that's what we do. So it ultimately plays the role in our lives for us to be able to get to the next level, for us to move forward. And neither one of us can ever combat that. We've submitted our lives to that thing. So that way it makes a difference. So I would say in relationships, the faith in God plays a big role. If one person believes one thing and somebody else and the other person believes something different, how can you find that center ground for you to be moving forward? I think that's what they talk about, being unequally yoked. Where
Yeah.
you got one oxen that's super strong, the other one that's weak. You're just gonna go in a circle, and it's only gonna frustrate you. And that ground is never gonna get tilled the way it needs to, right? You won't ever plow the land to be able to grow anything. You're just gonna be repeating the same cycles over and over. So you guys both have to grow and have that in your life, and your relationship will be, on par, right? Which is super cool. I must say this too, man. I love relationships, and we recently been, we talked to some couples and stuff about relationships. And one of the things that we say often is that two becoming one is not as simple as we think
Mm.
in relationships. It's hard. Just think about it. And I believe we're fearfully and wonderfully made by God. We're hand chosen. We're perfect, right? We're made in His image. And we're like two pieces of gold trying to become one, right? Working to become one. It doesn't I just can't take two gold rings and put them together and now they're one. Yeah, I could be a magician and slide it in there and do it. But we're becoming one, it's got to go through some things, right? Two pieces of gold have to go through fire, and it has to be super hot to be able to melt it so it can actually merge. And you got to beat it together and beat it down. And then when you beat it together and it finally becomes one, it's not pretty. It's got to heal again and get the scab over the top, and then that scab's got to be removed and sanded off, and then you got to chisel at it to shape it the way it needs to be shaped, and then you got to buff it, and sparks are flying from it, and all of these things, and then it's got to be polished, and that polish comes with some stuff. So all of this stuff you're going to go through in your relationship with your spouse, you're going to have to. It's going to be under fire, where there's going to be some moments where you're heated. We call it heated fellowship. We call it heated fellowship. And you're going to go through that stuff, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be some tension, and it's going to take some time, and you finally merge and you heal, and you got scabs on it. You start pulling back things that, man, I didn't know I had this from previous relationships and all of that. And then I thought, oh man, then we got to be shaped, and then it hurts because I got to mold and move to her, how she does things. And she got to move and shape to how I do things. And she might want me to put gas in her car every week, but I'm like, you drive all the time, so why would you go past the gas station? Like all of the things, right? This stuff comes up. And man, we have kids, and I believe we should raise them this way, and I was raised like this, and I'm big on holidays. I'm not. Like all of this stuff is shaping us into who we want to become. And that's what builds a solid relationship. All right. And as you go through that fire, and you'll live every last one of the vows that you say, and you're in the polishing mode, and you're going to fall in and out of it. And then if you polish a ring one time, it doesn't stay shiny.
No.
Which tells us, like you talked about in the beginning, that you got to go back and date your spouse. You got to go relearn them. We got to polish it again. We got to take them on dates and go on trips and have conversations that are never ending. We just pause them because we got life to do, right? All of that stuff comes up, and I think it plays a big portion in what we do.
And I wanted to say something about that because I think that's really good. And I had a thought. I got excited about it. And I'm going to say this for the people that have been through divorces. So like you've been with Candace for how many years?
17 now. Married.
So the fire, the buffing, the molding was largely in the marriage.
Yeah.
Right. On the other hand, I feel pretty different, that Tanya and I hit the ground running really quick. And I feel now in that analogy, because from my divorce to meeting Tanya was way faster than what I wanted. That's why I didn't want to be with Tanya. Right. I did not want to be in a relationship with her.
Mine too.
Right. So, and maybe this is kind of like you've continued to mold, and maybe you're in the same stage as what I'm about to explain, that I came out of the fire. I was already melted, and I was just like, I don't want to be this. I'm still figuring it out. I just came out of the fire. I don't know what I want. And all of a sudden Tanya came in, and we immediately started the molding, which at that point we were so malleable that it must have been easier. I think that might have been part of like our quick start and strengthen the relationship. But now it's accepting that it's going to continue, right? The day to day, right? The ongoing process of like, the 17 years of molding and buffing, and you dropped a little that there's a little impurity, clean it up, because that's just how gold is. And it shows how beautiful it is that being successful in the relationship. And now I'm gonna ask you this question. Are you ever really done? And is a relationship forever successful? So I'm gonna ask a 3-part question. Are you done? Is it forever successful? And how do you define success in a relationship?
No, right? To
Good.
say it simple,
Easy
I don't
one.
think you're ever done, right?
Yeah.
Ever, because what's not growing is dying. In this relationship, that's life, that's money, that's everything. It's meant to be circulated. Money's meant to be circulated. Keep moving. If it's sitting still inside of under a bed, it's dying, right? It just is what it is. It's everything. So in relationship, you're not ever done growing. You're not ever done molding. You're not ever done going through the fire. You're a different person at every stage. And that's why life happens. You're different when you first have kids. Everything changes.
Yeah.
You're different after your kids are in school and sports and all of these things, and they're going through different things. I've never had a teenager before. I got a 14-year-old, so I'm figuring that out, right? We're both figuring it out together. Never had a 14-year-old daughter, and I got a son, so I'm not going to have I've never had a 14-year-old son, so when he comes 14, I'm learning with him too. I'm learning when they leave the house. I'm learning empty nester. We're learning how to do life as business owners. We're learning how to do life, right? In all of these different facets of life, and then as you grow and grow, then become as grandparents, and then, you know what I mean? Like there's many different spaces. So you're always constantly going to be growing and buffing and putting that stuff inside of you so you can grow and be molded together. So that right there is crazy for you to think you've ever arrived there.
Yeah.
Right. So which is powerful. Next, the last thing is, how do I define success there? Our ability to continue growing together, our ability to know that no matter what, we built so much sweat equity into each other that we're rock solid. We just may not be in a great space. And so let's figure out what we got to do to grow here. That's how I define success. Are we willing to grow through it together to get to where we want to get to ultimately live life that for us to reflect purpose, to reflect who God is, and be a beacon of light in this world. Right?
Love it.
So that's how we defined it.
Love it. And I think that I want to play into the negative perspectives that people had in the growth, right? Because a lot of men say, and it's really interesting. I refuse to say the negative things about my girl. Like, I'll never call her a ball and chain, right? She is not my ball and chain, right? And when guys say their girl is crazy, right, and they have to continue to adjust to them, it's like men forget that the midlife crisis is largely a man thing. When dudes go chase a Corvette, I was like, you have stopped growing. You're a child. Go fix it, right? We should not. I mean, I don't think I've had my divorces. Maybe that's why I haven't had my quote unquote midlife crisis. But looking at the men that we're surrounded by, I don't even know if they're going to go through them, because they're in so much growth that they're not like, I don't know where I'm going all of a sudden, right? If you have growth, you constantly have a direction. It may not be clear, but you have an end growth outcome. And I think that there's a lot of that people have to own, that both men and women go through those things, and we have to really own it, because I think that we're in a really good time. And I want to say this, that we're in a really good time. The social media is so good right now. It's like all this stuff about wives supporting their husbands, all these things about husbands willing to work hard without it being just a hustle culture thing, right? Like there's a lot. I don't know if people have noticed. I've seen a lot of good things on social media. It's like, it's exciting.
Sure.
And I'm like, people are feeling this, right? And if we embody this time and we can convert this negative thing into, well, let's honor our husbands and wives, right? Let's create this totally different environment and maybe your girl's the one that wants to hustle. How does a man step into that role and be like, I'm the man of the house, I'm watching the kids? Like, what is it, like Adam and Nadia? Again, this is how we believe the relationship is, and they're awesome. And or friend Kevin and Binu, they're awesome. And we really admire these men that have taken the supporting role, and they're role model dudes. Like I would not say, I don't have anything negative to say about them, right? And I think that not enough men can step into that if their girl's ready to run, Yeah. Because then they're the ambitious one. Now you're holding her back, which is also not successful. Yeah. It's so much to it in that. I'm sure we'll come back to this subject. And on closing, since we're almost here, what is a conversation that you would change so that people are more aligned this week? Like, what is some of the conversations, and maybe this is a what's going on in the world, what's going on in life, or just something that you're experiencing that you would encourage a couple to have this conversation about so that they're more aligned?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is I think couples need to learn how to communicate with each other in a way that shows you care about each other. Y'all are on each other's team. That is so powerful. So what we did early in our marriage was we had the tough conversation early and often and up front.
Mm-hmm.
They're tough, right? They're not fun to do. So what we did was we said every Thursday night when the kids go to sleep, they go to bed at 8:30, at 9:00 we're gonna meet. And we're gonna meet for 30 to 45 minutes, and we're just gonna have open, honest, vulnerable conversation. No, we're not taking anything personal. If you feel a certain way, you feel, and have a conversation. Pause it and come back to it later on. I think couples need to do more of that and actually having conversations about what they're feeling, what they're thinking, where they are, and that will change a lot in their in their relationship. We just don't talk enough, to be
No.
honest. And when we are talking, we're looking to respond and not understand, which is not good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So in our relationships, if we just learn to communicate just a tad bit better, and we're like, well, I just don't trust them. You don't trust each other because you don't communicate. Trust is built through communication. It's just real, right? So we have to stay there and learn how to communicate through that. And then it'll set the stage and a foundation. Now, if you've been in a relationship for a while, it's going to uproot some things because you're going to have conversations about stuff in the past. So you got to be willing to be okay with those and say, all right, let's uproot this negative foundation so we can build a solid one on communication and know that we have each other's back and we're fighting the world and not fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes that communication piece so much better. So that's what I would recommend this week. If you haven't spoken to your spouse, if you don't have and y'all just not vibing, you're not on the right, y'all need to sit down and have a conversation without taking offense. Listen to the heart behind it. Know that each other wants each other to win, and you don't want I have your best interest at heart. This is just how I feel when you do, right? When this happens. So that's my recommendation.
That's huge. I think I heard a quote recently, just to add to this for a second, is that we got to remember that we're in the same team. Not enough. I think that more relationships that are having a problem, if they just would walk into it, it's like, okay, let's just assume for a second that we're in the same team. How do we get through this? So much difference would come with that. And cool. I'm sure we'll come back to relationships. We have so much to say about this. And guys, this thing is the YouTube it's been awesome. We're going to keep growing it. Make sure you follow us here on YouTube and go follow my Instagram and that way you guys can stay in tune. We're going to commit to this. Eventually we are committed to this. We're going to be getting more people onto this conversation. And if you have a topic that you want to discuss, make sure you put in the comments, and glad to have you guys. We'll see you soon.